Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as always with my good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, a lot's happened since we've last spoken, mate. Villa haven't lost in the Premier League as of yet. We're recording. I'm knocking on wood right now just to make sure that still rings true come full time on Saturday afternoon. But a lot's happened, mate. Before we get into all that, how are you doing?
I'm very good, mate. I'm very good. Yes, it was not quite the barn burner that we predicted to start the season, was it?
No. Oh my God.
No,
It has to be
bit
one
of
of our
a
worst predictions like ever.
well, I mean, if you look at the sample size that we had to work from, yeah, I mean, all of the games before it had been excellent, so entertaining, end to end. Well, not really end to end, actually. That's a bit of a lie. There'd been just two
One
end.
end.
There was no other end involved. It's always like one team takes it in turns to smash the other, really. And so, yeah, it was a bit surprising. Both teams didn't feel great, I don't think. But yeah, in the context of the Konza red card and everything like that, I think it's a good point. I think regardless of how the game played out, a point in that game, Newcastle at home to start the season, I don't think we'll age too badly at all. But yeah, I mean, all eyes are already on this weekend. You do feel like this is the game where we have to get our season up and running.
Absolutely, absolutely. Brentford are a funny one. I know we're still yet to do our Premier League predictions and all of that, and I feel like it may be unfair, but I think Brentford are getting a lot of unnecessary. Like I'm a big Keith Andrews guy. Like I'm a believer. Call me delusional. I think it could work. I really do. There's something there that's telling me from his punditry days on Channel 4 when we're in the Championship that he's a good. He clearly understands the game. He can articulate himself very well. That, of course, doesn't always necessarily, you know, necessarily transpire into being a good coach, because you'd like to think that we have a good understanding of the game, mate. But are we? Could we be good managers? Probably not. That is obviously.
Well,
Oh, you never
my
know.
work with my work with Bath City on Football Manager might tell you otherwise.
Wait, when did you win the Champions League? What year?
Oh mate, too long into the future. It got to the point where I was like, I'm talking like 2033, 34,
That's not
something
too
like that
bad.
maybe. But we got there for the boys from Bath.
10-year project, mate. 10-year project. But no, I think there's not too much for us to really go off, and I don't think I think Brentford will struggle this season, but I don't think they'll go down. A lot of people do have Brentford as one of those teams that are going down, and that's probably been made worse by the fact that all of the promoted teams go and get a win on the first game week as well, which. Brentford fans probably are somewhat concerned, but no, we've got a very good record against Brentford, and I think Forest, rocked up and did exactly what they were going to do, really, to Brentford, and a bit of a continuation of last season, really. I know they did tail off towards the back end, but I did think that they played pretty well. They were pretty effective, got that done. But Brentford will be tough, mate. This will be a tough game for us.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think it's a really, really important game for both teams, really. I think the second game, when you don't win your first one, not that, I think either team will have been necessarily disappointed not to win their first game, but I think when you don't, the second game really either eases any concerns or brings on like full scale meltdown. I think if which either of these teams loses this game, I do think, well, if either team loses the game, I think the panic will really start to set in. I think it's a very important game for us because the rhetoric, and rightly so, coming out of the Newcastle game wasn't great. People rightly weren't too enthralled by what they had seen. And I think if you kind of follow it up with another subpar performance against Brentford, then you really kind of put yourself on the back foot. And yeah, I do think that some big scary red klaxons start going somewhere. But to flip it on its head, I think if you win the Newcastle game, suddenly ages totally differently. It's seen as a very good point that we battled to the end. We've got the first 3 points of the season, 4 points from the first two. You never complain with that, and the season really gets going from that moment. So this game is, I think, just in terms of like the general mood of the fan base, really, really important. I can't imagine that too many people within the club see it as being this crucial, but yeah, spending as much time on Villa Twitter as as we do, both you and I will be under no illusions as to, yeah, the pandemonium that a draw or a defeat in this game would set loose, given, as you say, the kind of the general mood amongst the public that towards Brentford and their fate this season. I think, yeah, I do think they'll struggle, but I do agree with you, mate, that I think people have backed them to struggle in seasons gone by. You know, there were when Ivan Toney left, I remember that being that was going to be the calling card. That was going to be the one that really sent Brentford down into a relegation battle, and admittedly it didn't. And okay, they've seen more departures this season. The Johan Wissa stuff continues to rumble on. Thomas Frank is the big departure, but yeah, I think I think there's definitely a big enough body of work so that maybe it won't be clear as cut as that. This won't be such an easy game, but still one that I think the Villa need to go and win.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be, these are always good games, and I think it's probably the right kind of game for Villa, like after that Newcastle game, because yeah, it was a bit leggy, it was a bit lethargic, and I was, there is genuine concern, I think, which is valid that we didn't really create anything when we had 11 men. Don't necessarily expect us to when we had 10 after that sending off, but. Obviously you can put that down to ring rust. It's pre-season. You're not going to be firing on all cylinders on match day one. That is just the reality of it. Very few teams go out of the traps, absolutely flying. Manchester City probably one of the only sides really. This in that first week. I mean, Sunderland obviously put on a show as well, but in terms of teams that you expect to go and do what they did, yeah, I think it was always going to be a bit of a tough one. But our record against Brentford is absolutely wonderful at the moment. We are unbeaten in our last 6 games against them. That's 4 wins and 2 draws. And Ollie Watkins, just adds a complete different dimension to this game as well. There's a little bit of needle there that's from the Brentford fans from the past couple of encounters, especially at the G-Tech. But he scored 6 goals and got an assist in his last 7 appearances against Brentford. So it's, all of the stats, everything that we sort of form our opinions, mate. It's all looking like this is going to be, I don't want to say a comfortable afternoon in the capital because it never is. But we have a very good record here, and for all of the factors we've just listed, it I don't want to say it's a foregone conclusion, but this is somewhere where realistically we do have to go and we do have to leave with 3 points.
Yeah, yeah, they're not a. It's really. I feel like they kind of gained this reputation for being quite a stingy, hard to beat team. But I think they only kept one clean sheet at home last season. I know that when we went and beat them 1-0, I think that was April time maybe. Watkins scored last season. I know by that point they hadn't. I think there was a draw with Chelsea. After that they drew 0-0 with Chelsea, and I think that was their first home clean sheet of the season. So they were a little bit leaky last season, particularly at home. And let's hope that that continues, mate. Let's hope that that continues. But yeah, I think it's going to be between the season really starting to ramp up and what is now, both you and I predicted quite a busy end to the transfer window, mate. The deals are coming in, both leaving and arriving. Thick and fast at the moment. Rumors are kind of flying around everywhere. So yeah, I think between draws and the Carabao getting going and the league season really kicking into gear, the end of what looks like a pretty crazy transfer window. The next 10 days could be pretty wild in the life of an Aston Villa fan.
Good. I can't believe we've got rid of Dendoncker. I really can't believe that.
I know,
It's
legend of the game.
yeah, we've got to give him show him respect. That window has to go down as one of the worst transfer windows
Yeah,
ever. Like from a Premier League team, signing the likes of Dendoncker, Augustinson, Robin Olsen, Coutinho, all these guys. Luca Dean, obviously, probably the only one that you can actually, say with confidence, like worked out. I'm significantly higher than a lot of people are on the Coutinho thing. I think it was a signing that we did have to make at the time. It's, purely from the financial aspect of it, you go, this was a disaster. And
but the
we've been
vibes,
paying for it. The vibes were,
the
mate, the
vi-
vibes
the
were there.
vibes
Mate,
great.
if we can we can roll the clip from the United game. We were like, what,
Vibes
cut a check,
FC.
whatever. Like
God.
we'll pay whatever for this guy. And I stand by that at the time because that's how he made you feel. He made us feel something. We needed that. So, we'll always forever be in debt to him. But it's it's certainly hamstrung us, and the fact that it's JJ's gone, and we're still getting all these other people off, and it still looks like we're not necessarily going to be able to
Mm,
pull the financial levers that we'd like to strengthen the squad. Because by the time I literally just sent a tweet before logging on, mate. By the time Moreno's gone, there's then Dong. I think, and Bailey's obviously gone as well since we've last spoken.
yeah.
We're down to about 21 first teamers. So it's not, you know, it's this is a very tight squad, and it only takes, a Boubacar Kamara injury. It only takes an Esri Konsa injury. Thankfully Esri's generally had a very good bill of health, but Kamara's obviously got history of missing large parts of seasons to really potentially derail us, especially when we're going to look to go far in Europe. So I get like there is valid cause for concern, but with like our hands are tied behind our backs at this point, and we just kind of have to trust the process, really. There's lots of did we talk about Nico Jackson last week, mate?
Well,
Because
I'm
that's
literally
changed a lot, hasn't it?
as you are talking, Fabrizio has put out a tweet about exactly that, saying that we're pushing for Nicholas Jackson as a top target. Emery was obviously Nicholas Jackson's coach at Villarreal, and the relationship is excellent. Talks over the formula and structure of the deal are ongoing, but there are several top tubs keen.
There you go. I don't know how to feel about this one. I really don't know how to feel about it because I think there is undoubtedly an excellent player in there that if anybody's going to harness, it's going to be Unai Emery. And I mean, it kind of seems wild to say that Jackson's not necessarily lived up to his potential because I'm pretty sure he got about 15 goals in the past two seasons. Like, so to kind of sit here and say, what a terrible signing that would be. It does seem a little bit wrong, but you see a lot of those open goal misses or easy chances that aren't necessarily converted, and you do wonder. But my thing with Jackson, mate, is I look at him and he's not a striker. He doesn't like to play through the middle, and we kind of had this thing with Rashford, didn't we? Where he actually gave a really good interview with on Lineker's podcast. I don't know if you listened to it, mate, about
Mhm.
what his preference is, and like he was like, "Oh, I'm more than happy to play down the middle, but I'm not a striker. I don't have that instinct in terms of knowing when to get the shot off, when to take touch, all that kind of thing, back to goal. He feels more comfortable out on the left, and I think that's the case with Nico Jackson as well. But listen, if you can have like a left wing or a left-sided forward that can come in on loan, we're only going to cover a portion of the wages. There may be a juicy little buy option as well because Chelsea are clearly trying to offload a load of players, and that'll obviously be a problem for next year. But if you can add 15 goals to this Villa team, well, the difference last season is Champions League, mate.
Well, I'm looking at the numbers right now, right? And he has 24 goals in 65 Premier League games, which is not bad at all,
No, not at all.
really. That's a goal every just like 2.5 games or whatever. Just under a goal every 3 games, which is not too shabby at all. And I think, this kind of heralded La Liga season where, he worked with Unai. He got 12 in 26 in La Liga, and 1 in 10 in Europe. Ended the season with 13 goals in total. He got 13 goals last season for Chelsea in all comps and 17 the season before. So, yeah, like I mean, he's not a prolific 25 goal a season striker, no, but that's a very valuable piece to have in the squad. He's only 24 years old, turned 24 this summer. So like to do what he's been doing as a 21, 22, 23-year old is really impressive.
Yeah,
And I know that, there is the eye test involved, and I know that he isn't the easiest on the eye. I know, he's not the silkiest footballer. It can sometimes look a little bit clunky, as you say. But you can't argue with those numbers. And, Unai is someone that has been, we have been Unai Emery's home for lost souls over the past few years, and some have worked, some haven't. I think that's fair to say. But I think, when we look at we aren't going to be able to buy players at the peak of their powers who have just slapped in 20, 25 goals somewhere. We have to be a little bit smarter than that, and maybe players who play at clubs are a little bit more eager to shift up the books that Chelsea deem Nicholas Jackson as expendable, which is fair. I do think that there is a deal there. There is a deal there, and I think we're starting to see the fruits of, as you say, players like Dendoncker being, just we're letting these guys leave without even a fee paid.
Yeah.
This is just we're just getting them off the books. It looks like we're going to do the same with Alex Moreno, who looks poised to join Girona, and the number of sales that we've made this summer is actually really, really impressive, and it does finally start to feel like we're perhaps starting to see the benefit of that. I'm sure we'll get 5 minutes on this pod, mate, to talk about the Matty Cash rumours as well that kind of picked up at the start of this week. So there are going to be a few other outgoings, it looks like, on some, pretty significant wages, I imagine. So if that kind of frees up the possibility for a loan deal, which I think this might be, a kind of loan with an option, it'd be interesting to see what that looks like. But the numbers are good, mate. And as you say, like for a striker that I can't remember the journalist that said it, but said that Unai was in the market for someone that could play alongside Ollie, just off Ollie, rotate with Ollie. Ollie Watkins is going to be the main man this season. We don't want to let him go. And if you've got a kind of another striker that can come and pitch in with, over the last season, he's averaging about 14, 15 goals, as you say. That is a real needle with it. It absolutely is. He's someone that looks, he got 4-3 last season in the Conference League. So it's someone that, we could definitely get playing in those European games as well, combined with the goals that you'd like to think Evan and Gesson is going to bring over the kind of course of the season. I hate to say that I like it. I think at 24, I'd be quite happy to invest in that stock right now.
I hear it, mate. I hear it. Is this like the first time that we will have a couple of potential AFCON departees as well?
That's a really interesting point. Really interesting point.
Because obviously we've
Yes,
had like Kodjo Adoma, but I don't think it's ever fallen on AFCON or they'd been called up. You'd imagine
so it's
someone like Gisand and obviously Jackson are going to be pretty involved in with their national team.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. I think AFCON is so World Cup this year. AFCON will be 2027. So yeah, I think
No, I
that's a
think it's
very
this
interesting
year.
point. Oh, is it? Interesting.
I think it's December to January.
You're absolutely
I
right.
think it's
You're
December to
absolutely right.
January.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's I think it's out of whack because of COVID. I can't remember
Yes.
because the last AFCON was like only 3 years ago, I think. Um, yeah, it's going to be it's something to consider. Busy
Yeah,
busy
very much so.
December schedule, but I mean, like I look at these signings and I'm still thinking like, what the hell has Marlon got to do? What has the Don got to do
Yeah,
to get a game? I think if we had
yeah.
10 men, he'd have probably come on a lot earlier. And I thought he looked sharp when he came on against Newcastle as well. But um, I don't like to sit here and complain too much, but I just think like he's wonderful. He's such a good player. He's so direct, instinct, eye for goal. Now Bailey's gone as well. Like, what's stopping Daniel Marlin from starting for Aston Villa? It's an
Unai
enigma.
Emery? Unai Emery? Is
You know,
that
Emery.
is that an okay answer?
Yeah,
I genuinely don't know. But full respect to the guy
yeah,
for sticking with this, absolutely. But no, I would really like to think that there's a big role for him to play this season for sure.
absolutely. But I hope that role isn't as model because I don't know if you saw the pictures of him wearing all of the new Clobber, mate. The Don did not look happy to be there.
Well, who can blame him? Who can blame him? He's wearing the third kit, and it's like I've probably never even set foot on the pitch in this. Just saying, you know,
Yeah, he's never
poor
gonna
bloke.
wear it. He's never gonna
Yeah,
wear it. But the gear, it looks unbelievable, doesn't it?
yeah.
I know
Oh,
people have gone and picked up the goalkeeper shirt already today. That the Adidas trefoil, it's just beautiful. And for the, I don't think there's too many people that are hating on the keeper stuff, but um, I think we some of the awful kits that we've had in recent times, right? This third kit might not be everybody's cup of tea. That's totally fair. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I think you and I, mate, both have dreamed for a long time of having, a behemoth like Adidas as your manufacturer, and to see that trefoil on as well, which isn't necessarily something that like we grew up with. It's probably more something that our fathers were donning a lot more at our age. But we obviously can appreciate the nostalgia for an iconic piece of streetwear. It's nice that we finally get our own trefoil.
I mean, Adidas are just killing it right now, aren't they?
Oh, good.
They really are. It's pretty, that's kind of, this is an Aston Villa podcast, but like Nike just seemed to have the game in a chokehold like a few years ago. And it's kind of completely let slip. It feels like everything that Adidas touches at the moment just turns to gold. I think, even what they've done I think the Liverpool kits this year are like sublime. I
Yeah.
really do. I think, that like, I think that, it's interesting. Nike bringing back a lot of the T90 stuff as well. It feels like nostalgia is in right now. The game is so far gone. We just think, right, stick some trefoils and some T90 stuff on some kits and let's get us back. You know,
Big recession indicator, mate, isn't it? Big recession indicator.
it's-
So
yeah.
things aren't good. But like when Buendia whacked that free kick in pre-season, I was like,
Whoa.
I was like, them boots, they're nice. He's wearing the purple F50s.
Yeah.
They've even
I,
brought them back.
Yeah, I saw Daniel Munoz as well, the Crystal Palace fullback. I saw like his boot collection as well, and he's wearing like Hypervenoms and the old Mercurials and all this stuff. And I'm like, honestly, it's yeah, the nostalgia here is well and truly back. And so yeah, I thought I really like the third kit. I imagine that's going to be a comment divider
Yeah.
down below me. I think it'd be interesting to kind of poll the Villa audience on what they think of it. But I'm a big fan. I really like the kits for this year on the whole. It'd be interesting to see. Yeah, when we debut it first, because normally the third kit kind of comes quite late. We tend to drop those a little bit later on. I think the first time we wore the third kit last year was the Young Boys opener in the Champions League.
Yeah, and was probably like October,
Yeah, that
October
was
time.
quite late. September, October time, I think you're right. So yeah, it's a little bit earlier on, which yeah, I think given Brentford's home colours, I can't see us donning it at the weekend. But yeah, it'd be really interesting to get a glimpse of that when we do.
I quite like the away kit as well, but the fact that we wore it on the final day and
It's already
like,
cursed.
yeah,
It's
can't wear
already
it.
cursed.
Can't wear it.
No,
Let's just wear the third
suck
kit
it
as the
off.
away kit. I think
Yeah.
that's fair, and I think, but that's the thing, right? Like every kit has like like the kit the two kits that we won the European Cup in are obviously iconic kits. Like the white one specifically, you wear that in so many of the away games. That kit's iconic. That means Aston Villa are champions of Europe. It'll be nice if we can go and win the Europa, and this trefoil kit is the Europa kit. Do you know what I mean? It's the one that we
Yeah.
wear on these away games, whether it's Azerbaijan, whether it's Seville, wherever you may be. It'll go down in history, and I think that's what's so nice about actually getting these nice kits. I mean, I know we like them. Be interested to know what you guys think in the comments, but it gets a 10 out of 10 for me. It gets an absolute 10 out of 10 for me. I think they're absolutely stupendous. But on other stupendous things, mate, Morgan Rogers, PFA Young Player of the Year. Now, I have a little tidbit for you here, mate, because there's only been, as far as I'm aware, I could be wrong. Please let us know in the comments. But there's only been three players outside of the big six, and for the audio listeners, I'm doing air quotes, that have won the Young Player of the Year award for the duration that it's been given out of the PFAs. And do you know who those three players are, mate, or the club that those three players may have maybe represented?
Well, I think I could guess the club. I know Ashley Young did it.
Ashley Young did
Uh,
it, and
couldn't tell you the other one.
the other one's James Milner. I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
So
Wow.
Morgs is in some pretty esteemed company, and that's crazy, isn't it? Like the fact that, how the big six sort of hoover that up. I mean, if you look at it in recent years, it's been Foden, it's been Saka, it's been Dele Alli as well. If you go a little bit further back, it's quite it's a nice award to win. Maybe not in the case of Dele Alli because he's like obviously he's had a bunch of issues and fallen off a cliff face, but it's good company to be in.
So are you telling me, so if James Milner and Ashley Young are the other two players to win it, that Morgan Rogers will end up playing rotation right back for a mid-table Premier League team when he's 37 years old? That's the only
It's
thing I
either
can take from
that
that.
or he should just go and buy his house in Merseyside now, mate, to complete
Yes.
the Villa to City to Everton that Grealish
Yeah.
has just followed in the
Yeah.
footsteps.
One of the
It's
two.
one of the two. One of the
Yeah.
two.
I mean,
Hey,
his
Morgs is so big. Morgs is like I'm 6'3". I
he's a
believe
big,
in him.
yeah,
He's
big
6'4".
guy.
He looked massive next to me. He'd probably slot in at centre half pretty well.
It's yeah, yeah. I look forward to seeing his left back arc in about 2040 odd. But nah, mate, how cool, how cool. It's really interesting actually. So my it was the PFAs were at the Opera House in Manchester, and my office is literally across the road. So like from our office, we could like see down onto the red carpet. So it
Okay.
was all like fenced up around the Opera House, and we had a great view of the of a few early arrivees. And so yeah, I mean that mate, amazing, amazing. It totally took me by not by surprise, like, but I just opened my phone and like I was like, oh my God. Like it really normally you get wind of these things, and I think it's really, really cool that this kind of just dropped out of the blue because I mean, hey, I know it's not like as big a deal as the Ballon d'Or and stuff like that, but you these kind of major individual awards, you know, there's always a journo that finds out somehow and spoils the party 24 hours before, but I genuinely had no idea with this one. It's really, really cool. Really, really cool. And I think, you know, like that, yeah, what a great, I really hope that puts a bit of a, you know, not that I think he needed one, but a real spring in his step, you know, real adds to his confidence, a real bit of mojo. I think it will be, you know, again, like he's keeping him is probably one of the better bits of business we've done this window. Because again, like I saw Fabrizio saying last night when the Eze deal fell through for Spurs, that one of the players they've liked for a long time and could turn their attention to is Morgs. And so, yeah, I think there's probably a few clubs that will continue to circle, and so be interesting to see and to hope that we can hold on to him. But no, really, really cool, thoroughly well deserved. He had a, you know, despite everything, I know the kind of arrival of Asensio, both you and I have been pretty vocal in saying that we don't think he kind of ended the season as well as he started it. Playing out wide wasn't really his thing. I still feel the same way after watching the Newcastle game. I think we need to try and carve out a spot for him in the middle somewhere. But no, it was still an amazing individual season. A truly like thrilling player to watch when he's at full tilt. I just hope we can get back there, mate, because it does feel like a little while since we've seen the kind of Morgan Rogers that slaloms tackles in the midfield and drives Villa 40 yards up the pitch and, you know, can drop through balls through it. Like there's little glimpses of it, but yeah, the Morgan Rogers that we all fell in love with, you know, 8, 9 months ago, we've not seen that in a little while.
Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about him going anywhere, especially after Damian Vidigani's tweet. Coincides
Yes.
perfectly with, I believe it was Miguel Delaney who was also reporting something similar to what you just mentioned about Spurs' interest. But Damian, quick to shut it down. General rule: when I want to know the news, I go to sources that I trust. I go to the many people that is able to do fact checking or try to. Sources with agenda, clickbait or not. Fact checking intention just deserve to be ignored. Nothing else. That is your power. A little bit of broken English there, but no shade whatsoever because Damien has articulated himself perfectly. That is fake news. That is fake news. And don't believe the first thing that you read and see on the internet. Everybody has free will, and everybody can just go that little bit further. And I think people were looking into a little bit of the piece that Morgs did as a part of his winners content with Charlotte Ducker of the Times after the PFAs. You know, he said, I'm not looking. You know, all I think about is Aston Villa, and people have obviously been mentioning the Delph, the Grealish, all that kind of stuff, and like what's he supposed to say? What's he supposed to say? Like, on the one hand, you've got everybody going, "Look, he's not leaving." Like, he's saying he's staying, which is obviously what he's saying. And then on the other hand, you've got everybody going, "Wow, look at what these guys said before." Blah blah blah. You damned if you do. You damned if you don't. The way I see it, it would take a absolutely behemoth offer for us to even consider selling Morgs, especially as the wages, like the wages aren't a problem. I think we've been in talks to offer him a new deal, right? So all of the SCR issues that we have aren't alleviated by £150 million sale to Chelsea. Like that'd be great and give you great PSR wiggle room, but that's not what the problem is. So, all of this, you get whether it's like Ben Jacobs, who's like appeared out of nowhere and just had a generational stinker of a run when it comes to Villa in the summer, or whether it is somebody like Miguel Delaney, who again, like, seems to have some form of weird agenda against Villa. I think it might be fair to say with some of the things that he posts, but it's a pretty damning indictment and statement from Damian Vidagani, which I'm sure a lot of people appreciated tonight. But on the subject of other people leaving, mate, Matty Cash, you mentioned it earlier. Now, this one almost got nipped in the bud instantly because Forest are all of a sudden looking for a left back from La Liga. I can't remember the team now. It would make sense that Forest would look at somebody like Kashi, who's homegrown and club trained and all of that, as they do go to enter into a Europa League season. But and again, like I've come full circle on Kashi, and I've defended him staunchly a fair bit on this podcast. I don't know who you replace him with that comes in and hits the ground running at that sort of 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 level that I think you do get from Kashi every week. And I know that will be a controversial opinion, but I mean, certainly the other day I thought I got in an argument with God, that knobhead that runs the AVFC faithful on Twitter the other day, because I'm just fed up of how people like to like create their agendas and flip these narratives. He basically said that we've had two red cards in two back-to-back games directly as a result of Cash. Now, did Cash with the Martinez one? I'm kind of like, I hear it, but also at the same time, the one thing that I absolutely will not have is anybody telling me that Emmy did not have free will. Emmy did not need to absolutely rugby tackle Rasmus Højlund. He could have just let him go random and we concede a goal. He could have done that. Like, and we would have probably had a bit of a better space anyway, because we'd have had 11 men and we probably would have counteracted that crazy press from Manchester United. And specifically with this one as well, very rare that we'll come on and say this on the podcast, mate. How terrible was that defending from Ezri Konsa? He was nowhere near it. He was
Yeah,
absolutely nowhere near it. So yeah, Kashi loses the ball trying to play across. We're chasing the game. We're entering about 70 minutes. We've not had. I think we'd only had one shot on target at this point. For idiots like this guy to come and say, like, it's literally just, it's all agenda driven, because you can, it's not black or white. You can say, yeah, like he's got the sending off, like, after an action that he's contributed to. But Esri and Emmy both had choices to make, and they both fundamentally made the wrong ones. And that cannot be argued. And I will not have anybody disagree with that, because that is just absolute nonsense. Esri should have done better, and Emmy should have done better. And one of his replies as well was like, "Oh, yeah, he's done it in two consecutive games," as if they weren't 4 months apart,
yeah,
as if he hasn't,
yeah.
as if he hasn't gone to bed since.
I I actually it's interesting. I actually subscribe to the same, but in a way opposite review. In that I think the Old Trafford one is solely on Martinez, and I would actually put. I think, yeah, I don't think anyone covered themselves in glory for the Newcastle one, but that's the one where I'm kind of like, I think Cash did drop that card. He could have looked any other blade of grass at Villa Park, and I don't think it ends with a red card. I
Yeah.
just think like he's put it into the worst possible place, right on the edge of the box, that's allowed them to sweep forward like straight away. And Esri, it's a daft position he gets himself in. I think he made, did he make the right
And
decision?
it's very rare. It's very rare that
Very,
people
very
say that about
rare.
Esri as well, which is what
Very, I
makes it
mean,
that bit more frustrating that he goes and
he's
gets
due a
that red
blunder,
card.
right? So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
one of those. But yeah, there were the rumors about Hector Fort for a day or so, the young right back from Barcelona, that we're apparently looking at. But at the time of recording, it looks like he's on the verge of signing for Como on loan, along with Pena, sorry. So yeah, it looks like that one's off the cards. I think it. Yeah, apparently Sevilla have been looking at Andres Garcia as well, but have kind of been rebuffed as he's a player that Unai wants to keep around the squad this season. And I just think there are other holes in the squad that, with the limited business that we can do, we probably need to address first. Look, I'm not Matty Cash's biggest fan. I think the truth in Matty Cash probably sits somewhere in the middle of the two opposite ends of the spectrum that the
Yeah.
fan base seems to set on with him. Um, I don't think he's great. I do have a horrible feeling that if he went anywhere else in the Premier League, particularly at home coming back to Nottingham Forest, that he'd just do really well. I've kind of held that view for a little while. I can't quite shake it. I don't know why.
I
I
think we're
just
too
think,
harsh on him.
yeah,
I just
I
think we're
think
too
there's
harsh on him
that.
as a fan base.
I think there is that, but I do, yeah, I've got the feeling he'd go somewhere else and really do well. And I've already got a deal with Douglas Luiz playing for Nottingham Forest. I don't think I could deal with a whole Villa reunion going on over there. So yeah, I mean, look, like if a club really wants to come in and test our resolve and put a good offer down for him, then I think Villa would entertain it. But I just don't think that's top of our priority list right now.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I think it's one of them. Like if we had like £300 million to spend and you can upgrade whatever in the squad, I think you could go and spend 30, 40, £50 million and go and get a Denzel Dumfries or somebody of that kind of profile, and that obviously would be a massive upgrade. But like for now, it kind of seems futile to do that. But guys, we'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Dan, real quick, I've got to ask you a score prediction before the Zoom kicks us off. I've got to ask a score prediction. I'll
Oh,
go first. I'll give you that. I'm going to say that we're going to do this, and it's going to be 1-0, and it's going to be really difficult, and we're probably going to score in the 81st minute.
yeah, I
I'm going
was
really
gonna go.
specific here.
Yeah, I like that. I was gonna go 2-0. I think it will be a bit of a slog, but I think we'll get over the line.
And shout out to Mark Bizzot as well. We didn't mention him, but yeah, I'd start him
Oh yeah,
based off that performance. Absolutely wonderful.
fantastic work.
The confidence he gives the team, absolutely amazing. Bizzot in between the sticks for me for Brentford. Guys, let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, share, download everything, and up the Villa.